Good evening. This is a special coverage of the coronavirus crisis using the combined forces of News 5 and Signal TV's 1 News, Radyo 5, and 1PH. Lawmakers are weighing in on whether they think the president should lift, extend, or modify the existing enhanced community quarantine in Luzon. Senator Manny Pacquiao believes an extension is in order since mass testing has just begun. The lawmaker recognizes the huge toll it will take on the economy, but stressed that frontliners are doing their best to save us all. Meanwhile, Senator Ralph Recto is looking to extend the existing ECQ only in areas where there are many confirmed cases. But for areas with low or no transmission, he proposes a modified community quarantine where people will be able to work, earn, and provide for their families. Recto says this will help restart our economy. On the other hand, Senator Ping Lacson is pushing for a modified ECQ, which addresses both health and economic concerns. The legislator says we cannot risk an economic recession, where the public would survive a health pandemic only to die of hunger later on. Senator Sonny Angara's position is to do things gradually to prevent any large-scale outbreaks. He says the president should only allow essential services and industries to resume operations under strict guidelines. This includes public transport, stores, and small establishments. But whichever path Malacanang chooses to take, Angara says it should be announced early to give the public time to prepare. Finally, Senator Risa Ontiveros says regardless of the scenario after April 30, we cannot proceed without devoting more efforts towards mass testing. The coronavirus continues to infect more persons in the country. As of 4 p.m. Monday, April 20, 200 new cases of COVID-19 have been recorded overnight. There are almost 6,500 COVID-positive patients in the Philippines right now. 19 people lost their lives to the coronavirus in the past 24 hours. The death toll now stands at 428. Meanwhile, at least 40 people have gotten better from the infection. So far, at least 600 patients have recovered from the coronavirus infection. Resigned Socioeconomic Planning Chief Ernesto Pernia said his move to step down was not necessarily due to the COVID-19 crisis. Speaking to 1PH, Pernia said he decided to quit because of policy differences with some cabinet members. Pernia admitted that he and Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez have had disagreements, including the mode for infrastructure projects.
Really, this critical time that led me to my resignation, it's something that has been accumulating over time. And this has to do with differences in development philosophy. My colleagues in the cabinet, especially the ones I deal with regularly, like the economic team, he has different views. He has a different training background from mine. It's understandable that we have differences. He is a finance person. An economist has a broader view of the economy, broader view of things, wider perspective. Finance people tend to be more focused on micro concerns.
Pernia said he was more open to public-private partnership ventures like airport projects.
It has more to do with what is the role of the government, what's the role of the private sector in the economy. Para sa akin, as an economist, the role of the private sector is really that it is the engine
of growth
of the economic growth. The government just provides the environment, infrastructure, and other public goods that are important to the people, to the public. Yun ang So dapat bigyan ng importansya ang private sector. Pero yun ang development philosophy.
Pernia reminded the government to acknowledge the efforts of the private sector in responding to the COVID crisis. He said private firms and individuals are playing an important role in augmenting the aid extended by the government.
Dapat talaga mag-partner. Partner ang government at saka ang private sector. Kaya ang maganda sigurong mangyayari na yung si General Galvez, Secretary Galvez, who is the main implementer of the government program, dapat may private sector partner siya. Parang ma-synchronize, para ma-coordinate yung ginagawa ng private sector at sa ginagawa ng government. And if you combine the two, the impact of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Pernia also said that some of his former colleagues were supportive of his proposal to shift to a selective or modified quarantine to restart economic activity. Meanwhile, he also called on the health department to fast-track mass testing.
Kailangan nga talagang yung while we open and lift the quarantine selectively or in a modified fashion, dapat this thing should be accompanied by rapid testing.
Opo.
Rapid testing, contact tracing, and then isolation, or quarantine of those who are found to be positive, and then so they can be treated. So dapat yun ang ginagawa ng gobyerno ng DOH. Dapat noon pa yung sinasabi ngayon na there are more testing arrangements now, more testing kits, testing centers, but yeah, it's okay, but let's do it more rapidly.
The Food and Drug Administration has given the green light on 16 COVID rapid antibody test kits for commercial use. These products came from different manufacturers based in different countries. Though they're being packaged as easy to use, the FDA recommends that they should be administered by trained health professionals only. The agency also reiterates that these kits are strictly for medical professional use only and are not intended for personal use. Results from these devices should be interpreted by doctors. The FDA notes confirmatory PCR-based testing remains the gold standard for detecting the coronavirus. President Rodrigo Duterte received a phone call from U.S. President Donald Trump last night. The two heads of state talked about helping each other out during the COVID-19 pandemic. Palace spokesperson Harry Roque said the conversation was cordial. Though there's a transcript of the call, Roque said he's not at liberty to share it to the public.
Unang-una, ang masasabi ko lang po, the call came in at 10:10 in the evening, kagabi. Pangalawa po, it was initiated by the US government. It lasted for about 18 minutes. It was cordial, and it was about collaboration, bilateral collaboration on COVID-19. But beyond that, I have no authority to divulge any further details.
The palace spokesperson isn't sure if the two leaders talked about China at all. Trump earlier said there will be consequences if China was knowingly responsible for the pandemic. The U.S. has been accusing China of underreporting its numbers on the coronavirus crisis.
Hindi ko po alam kung ito'y napag-usapan, pero ang reaksyon ng palasyo, nakasaad naman po sa larangan ng international law ng estado na mayroong linabag na katungkulin sa larangan ng international law ay dapat managot. No? Ang issue nga lang po ay pati si Presidente Trump, di naman sigurado kung mayroong ginawa ang China na magiging isang paglabag sa kanyang obligasyon sa larangan ng international law. He himself is unsure, pero siyempre po, kung aakusahan niya ang China na mayroong paglabag, kinakailangan siya po magbigay ng pruweba.
NCRPO Chief Debold Sinas defended four policemen who allegedly barged into the Pacific Plaza Towers in BGC on Sunday. He said they were only doing their jobs. But presidential spokesperson Harry Roque thinks otherwise. Jenny Dongan with the story.
Taguig Police Major Joseph Austria, along with four other uniformed personnel, visited the Pacific Plaza Towers in BGC yesterday after supposedly receiving reports that some residents were ignoring quarantine rules. But one resident of the condominium said the officer bullied the property security personnel and entered the property. In this video uploaded by a resident, you can see Austria walking along the condo's garden and pool area, shouting at residents. He wasn't wearing any form of personal protective equipment.
They demanded to come in. They forced their way past our security guards. The security guards were very threatened. They have weapons too, but they dare not to draw the weapons against the police. They were basically rolled over. They were yelling.
PPD President Erwin Ilichicon confirmed this, saying that officers forced their way in, threatening to arrest anyone who will prevent them from entering the condominium. Ilichicon claimed that upon reaching the garden and pool area, Austria's men only saw a few residents walking around but still following social distancing protocols. The PPD president insisted this incident of police bullying just caused unnecessary panic to residents who are mostly foreigners, diplomats, and businessmen, and the act might even be illegal. But in a statement, Taguig Mayor Lino Cayetano defended the officers, saying he was the one who ordered the police to inspect condominiums and gated communities to make sure that all of the residents there are strictly observing quarantine guidelines. He said he has received reports that there were still a few people hanging out at common areas like clubhouses, pools, and gardens. The PNP, led by Joint Task Force COVID-19 Shield Commander Guillermo Irazar, said they're already looking into the matter. Ilyasar noted that Austria only shouted at residents after spotting some of them gathering at the common area. He also denied that Austria pointed a gun at anyone. NCRPO Chief Dibold Sinas shared the same sentiments and insisted that his men politely relayed their intention to the condo management. But the manager insisted that they will keep their common areas open because the area remains COVID-free. The NCRPO added that other residential towers in the area, like Avida and Serendra, have submitted incident reports to authorities, except for Pacific Plaza Towers. Pacific Plaza Towers plans to take legal action against the officer for scaring its residents and forcibly entering a private area. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque shared the same concerns and has confirmed that the palace has already directed a separate probe into the matter.
Karapatan ng ating mga kababayan na magkaroon na maging secure sa kanilang houses, places, and persons shall be inviolable. Hindi po pwedeng malabag yan kung walang utos po ng ating korte at hukuman. Ang pulisiya po ng pulis naman ay hindi po pwedeng pumapasok po ang mga pulis sa mga private property kung, number one, wala silang nalalaman na krimen na nangyayari dun sa private property na yon, kung hindi sila inimbita o kung wala po silang search warrant. So, imbisigahan po natin yan.
Austria, on the other hand, is also thinking of filing charges against the property's managers for allegedly breaking quarantine rules. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
The PNP is insisting that the property managers and administrators of Pacific Plaza Towers gave their consent to the police officers who checked on the supposed quarantine violations in the area. In an interview with 1PH, PNP spokesperson Bernard Banach said the cops politely asked residents to go back to their units. Banach added that it was the officers who were not treated nicely, so they decided to leave the premises. The PNP spokesperson reiterated that the force respects the public's right to privacy and that they won't barge into private areas without securing the consent of the owners or the managers. And that's the latest on the enhanced and expanded community quarantine in Luzon. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. I'm Jess De Los Santos. We are One News.